Hello everyone. I'm Jay Maharaj. I'm a product manager in the Microsoft Security Customer Experience Engineering team, focusing on our Entra and security products. I'm joined today by my colleague Yusuke Kodama, who's also part of the same team. And Yusuke will be actually helping us with the Q&A today. And Yusuke will also be helping me with some of the demos as well. Thanks a lot for joining this session on how you can secure your help desk with Entra verified ID and with face check. Before we jump into today's session, a couple of announcements. Feel free to ask questions via Q&A. So please feel free to log your questions into Q&A. Yusuke will help answer any questions that you might have. And we can discuss some of the more pressing questions at the end of the session as well. We will also be posting the link to the survey soon. Please take out some time to provide us your feedback. The feedback that you provide is very important to us, and your responses will help shape the future Entra verified ID sessions that we actually present to you. That is why I encourage all of you to please participate in the survey, provide us your feedback, and we'll actually use that feedback to frame how the next or the upcoming Entra verified ID sessions look like. With that, let us get started with today's session. The agenda for today's session is as follows. Firstly, we will be looking at the challenges that the IT help desk or service desk environments are facing in this day and age. We will also look at other identity-related challenges as well. I will then do an introduction of Entra Verified ID for those of you who are new to this technology, and we will discuss how it all works. We will then look at how you can get started with Entra Verified ID in your own environments. After that, we will look at the new addition to Entra Verified ID capability, the much talked about face check feature that we have with Entra Verified ID. We will then look at some of the key use case scenarios of Entra Verified ID with a special focus on how you can secure your help desk with VID and face check. I will then share some key resources with you and a call to action on how you can get started with Entra Verified ID within your own environments as well. Let us start off with the IT help desk. An ongoing challenge for help desk is verifying the identity of callers seeking help, especially in remote interactions via phone, chat, or email. In many instances, the support staff are still asking for users for phishable information such as their full name, their date of birth, their mobile number, their home address information before performing high-value transactions for those users. These transactions could be tasks such as resetting users' passwords, provisioning of temporary access passcodes for that user, doing multi-factor authentication onboarding as well, and account updates. Or if you are a financial institution, it could be the case where the support team is resetting the PIN to allow the user to be able to access their online banking system. Based on the phishable nature of the information that is requested, how certain can the service desk staff be that it is actually John who's calling for support? It could be quite easily someone else pretending to be John calling the help desk to get John's password reset so that they can use those credentials to then take over John's account. It could quite easily be a bad actor who's been able to fish all the relevant information about John and is now in the process of getting the credentials to log into John's account. These days, attackers don't hack in, they log in with your credentials. And this has become a very common vector for such an attack. So how do we empower our help desk or service desk staff so that they are able to do a high assurance verification before they perform high value tasks on a user's account? What can we do to ensure that help desk staff are able to successfully verify that it is indeed John on the other side of the call and not some imposter pretending to be John? Let me paint another scenario for you regarding the challenges that we see with today's personal identity model. We walk around with physical wallets with a variety of different cards that are issued to us by various providers. Cards such as a driver's license, health cards, bank cards, and so on and so forth. Here in Australia, when you go to a pub or a club, you need to provide an identification that proves that you are above a certain age. In majority of the cases, people provide their driver's license. It proves that you are above a certain age because it has your date of birth on it. But in addition to the date of birth, it also has other sensitive information, such as your license number, the card number, and most importantly, your home address as well. In many cases, the pub or club will take a copy of the driver's license card that you present. Now, to prove that you were above a certain age to the pub or club, this was the requirement, right? We have shared very critical, personally identifiable information with them. We have given them our full name, our date of birth, our license number, the card number for that license card as well, and the home address. How is this information relevant for the requirement that was proof of age? Wouldn't it be nice if I could just share proof of age? Are you 18 years of age? Yes, I am. Now, let's look at another example. When you try to lease a property, the real estate agencies require all sorts of documentation, from your driver's license to your passport, etc. They take copies of all this important documentation that has significant personally identifiable information on it, just so that you can lease a property with them. Now, if we look at this closely, this poses enormous challenges. Let us have a look at a couple of these. The first one is security. Identity data is widely targeted. How certain are you that agencies, pubs, and clubs that you have shared your PII with are actually keeping that information secure? And then on top of that, like if you are an organization that is actually collecting that information, do you really want to hold on to that kind of information? What if your systems were compromised and those information was leaked? The second one is validation. We carry around credentials on a piece of plastic. There is no easy way to verify it is actually my credentials on the card. It could be a counterfeit. I could be an imposter with somebody else's details. There is no easy way to validate or verify this identity card. And lastly, ownership. Once I share my personal identity data with a pub, club, or a real estate agency, I have little to no control over that data. I don't know how they're storing it. Is it stored securely? I don't know who they are sharing that information with without my consent. These are modern day challenges, and we require a modern day solution to be able to tackle these challenges as well. That is why Microsoft has come up with a revolutionary solution that will change the way we interact with digital services and platforms. It is called Microsoft Entra Verified ID. Entra Verified ID came into general availability in 2022. So it is not a very old technology, and I'm sure most of you would have already heard about this already anyway. But I'm trying to give a quick overview for those people who are new to this technology. Entra Verified ID is a managed service for verifiable credentials. It provides organizations with a scalable, standards-based way to issue and verify digital credentials with end users or other organizations as part of an identity verification process, such as onboarding, secure access to applications, or account recovery. With Entra Verified ID, organizations can easily and more securely verify workplace credentials, education status, certifications, or other unique identity attributes within a matter of seconds. Plus, it respects the privacy of the end user who can own and control their own identity. Apart from work, there are a plethora of situations where someone needs trust in their environment in order to do things, like buy a plane ticket, stop and conduct business at a financial service institute. People need to be able to prove they are who they say they are. or prove that they got a degree from where they say they did. And decentralized identity is a framework that enables people to manage their digital identity and share it safely online with organizations. Organizations can verify someone's identity instantly without exposing personal data by using verifiable credentials. Decentralized identity is a standards-based identity framework that provides more secure, transparent digital experiences, giving users more control over their identity, greater trust, and a streamlined process. Let us look at this slide more closely. At the center of the diagram is an employee with a fully realized decentralized identity, maybe through our verifiable Entra verified ID service. Let's call him Scott. He is surrounded by an ecosystem of connecting blue circles, which represent his personal experiences, credentials, and memberships, many of which provide Scott with decentralized identifiers shown as the small blue circles. For example, Scott is an employee, and therefore his work has issued him with a verifiable credential, which is a decentralized identifier, with an attestation that Scott works for that particular company, and perhaps also confirms his job title and the date of hire. The identity information that Scott is employed by this company could be verified only with Scott's permission by financial services, businesses offering employee perks such as hospitality or retail, and collaborative partners of the company that Scott is working for as well. Scott also holds a unique Scott also holds his unique identity credentials from the college or university that he attended, from government organizations, from skilling programs and group memberships. In many cases, like we complete our degree with a university many years ago, and every time somebody wants to verify that Jay was a student at this particular university, they have to go and ask that university to actually do that verification process for them. How about me having a verifiable credential that I can present to whoever is interested, and they can automatically electronically verify that I completed my degree through that particular university. Because these organizations can verify individual identity credentials to enable faster transactions, easier proving of credentials, and confirm an individual's details without the exposure or transmission of PII, our trust fabric is formed between the issuers, verifiers, and the users who hold those credentials, benefiting everybody within the ecosystem. So how does this work? Before we look at how verifiable credentials work, let us define what it means. So what is our verifiable credential? Credentials are part of our daily lives. Driver's licenses are used to assert that we are capable of operating a motor vehicle. University degrees can be used to assert that we have a certain level of education. Government issued passports enable us to travel between countries. Verifiable credentials provides a mechanism to express these sorts of credentials on the web in a way that is cryptographically secure, privacy respecting, and machine verifiable at the same time as well. So the difference between a verifiable credential and a credential that is provided to us in a digital form would be like we have, say, for example, a lot of credentials or identities these days in a digital form. A good example is the New South Wales driver's license over here in Australia. Now, I have a digital form of that particular license, but I cannot, or I have not found many places where I can actually electronically use that digital identity. And that's where the verifiable credential actually is the differentiating factor. If that digital license was issued in a form of a verifiable credential, I would then be able to use it in multiples of different ways on the web in a cryptographically secure, privacy respecting, and machine verifiable way. The diagram that you see on the slide illustrates the participation of three parties in a verifiable credentials interaction. This solution automates verification of the identity credentials and claims. The issuer is the first party. The issuer is an organization that attests to the claims and grants digitally signed credentials to the user. The user, as you can see, is in the middle, and they control everything. The user receives and approves the request for credentials from the verifier. The verifier is the party at the very right of the screen, right? They are the people that actually want to be able to verify that this particular user actually works for Woodgrove, right? When the verifier actually does that presentation request, the user can then provide them the verifiable credential that they have obtained from Woodgrove, and they will then be able to, or the verifier will then be able to verify that it is indeed an employee from Woodgrove. So the user actually is the person in between that actually holds the holds or controls the way the verifiable credential is actually used. The user can actually see where he has shared the verifiable credential. The user can actually store those verifiable credentials in a digital wallet and be able to then present it in multiples of different ways. The verifier on the far end is an organization that requests proof, and upon receipt verifies that the claims in the verifiable credential satisfy the requirements that are there. The trust system that you see at the bottom is the foundation in establishing trust between decentralized systems. In this case, if you look at it, the verifier never goes directly to Woodgrove to verify that this particular user is an employee of Woodgrove. The verifiable credential that was provided by Woodgrove is held by the user. The verifier uses the issuer's public key to verify that the verifiable credential that was issued to the user was signed by that particular issuer. So that's how this particular ecosystem works. An ecosystem of organizations, workplaces, governments, schools, institutions, and individuals act as a trusted issuer and verifier for verifiable credentials, with users granting permission and managing access through their digital wallet. Trust is established through the underlying trust fabric throughout all of these institutions. So think about it in this way. This is a true representation of how decentralized identifiers can actually work in an ecosystem. Entra Verified ID solution is built on open standards. Microsoft is actively collaborating with members of the Decentralized Identity Foundation, DIF, the W3C Credentials Community Group, and the wider identity community as well. We are working with these groups to identify and develop critical standards, and we have implemented the open standards in our services as well. Our collaboration efforts aim to build a verifiable credentials interoperability profile to support standards-based issuance, revocation, presentation, and wallet portability as well. To demonstrate our design principles, let us walk through the end user experience. This is our experience for the verification process. The screenshot shows the wallet that any individual can store their digital credentials in. So that's the Microsoft Authenticator app in our example. And then how those credentials are shared in terms of presentation to other organizations that want to be able to verify those credentials. Our organizations and individuals can choose from various options in terms of what digital wallets they use. They can use our own Microsoft Authenticator app as a digital wallet, or they can build their own wallet. We provide SDKs that can actually help you do that as well. Once digital credentials are available in such digital wallets, individuals can easily confirm sharing their data and information with who they want. Be able to see all the information that is being shared, as you can see on the on the screen. They are able to see where they have shared the information, and then be able to revoke access to their personal information if need be as well. So how can you get started? There's a couple of things that I wanted to talk about before showing you how you can actually get started in your environment. There is one API to verify anyone and anything in the world. Since we launched, We have had thousands of implementations across hundreds of verifiers for multiple scenarios, such as onboarding, verified guests, verified partners, student certifications, security clearance, etc. Enterprises are able to issue and verify credentials using their existing Entra ID subscription. They can also use one API for third-party partners like LexisNexis for passport, driving licenses for other partners that can actually provide you with verifiable credentials for driving licenses and for credit score, etc. All of this is accessible through our open source library that we have integrated into Microsoft's Authenticator wallet. But if you are interested in developing or integrating these functionalities into your own application, there is also an SDK available for you to use as well. Now to the fun part, right? For those of you who have been familiar with Entra Verified ID service for some time now, you'd remember that setting up this service in your tenant did require quite a few different steps. And in addition to that, you also needed to have Azure subscription to house the Key Vault as well. And then you needed to actually put JSON files on web servers and whatnot. Let me give you some great and exciting news. You no longer need to do any of that anymore. With a quick start, you can get the Entra Verified ID service up and running in your tenant with a verified employee verifiable credential within 5 minutes. This is our 5 minutes to wow setup that will get you up and running, issuing and verifying in no time. Just a couple of quick points in terms of how you can utilize the quick config. With a quick config, you just have to do a single click, and then the system actually takes care of setting up the Entra Verified ID service for you. One of the requirements for this is you need to have a custom domain registered and verified in your Entra identity platform. After that, once you do that, the quick setup does not require any other bits. It only requires that custom domain, and that custom domain is actually verified in your Entra ID tenant. When the Entra Verified ID service is onboarded, the verified employee verifiable credential template is automatically configured for you as well. It no longer requires you to set up like the Azure Key Vault that I talked about before, or hosting of JSON files on web servers, etc. And the issuance of the verified employee credential has become super easy as well. Your users can go to the myaccount.microsoft.com portal, and with an easy click of a button, they can actually accept the verified employee credential into their familiar Microsoft Authenticator app without any issues. So they can quite easily just go to one portal. Once you have set up the service, they go to a portal and they can actually get this done in no time. Now, what I'm going to do now is we'll actually do a quick setup of or quick demo of how you can actually go ahead and do this setup. So let me show you how this is done. This is a tenant that I have, a lab tenant that I have for myself. As you can see, this is my lab tenant, and I've got I'm on the entra.microsoft.com portal. If you are not familiar with Entra, Entra is our overarching umbrella for all our identity-related products from Microsoft. So you'll see our identity capability, which is like the Entra identity, as we call it. Then we have the protection capabilities, identity protection. We have the governance capabilities under identity governance, permissions management, global secure access, and in addition to that, we have the verified ID under the same umbrella as well. So if you are new to Entra, Entra is not a product. Entra is an umbrella which has got multiples of different identity-related Microsoft capabilities underneath it. And these are like the capabilities that I was talking about before. So let us go to Entra Verified ID and overview page. And this is a live demo. I've done my fair share of sacrifices to the demo gods. Hopefully this works out properly. But let's go through this, right? So so I'm here under Enter Verified ID on the overview page, and I get this like quick setup, get started button, right? If I click on this, it asks me because I have to choose a domain that I have added to my Entra ID tenant and verified. Because I've got two domains, it's actually asking me what particular domain I want to use for this particular service. So I'm just going to quickly choose the first one, and I'm going to click on save. And that's it. The service then goes ahead and does whatever it needs to do to get it set up properly in your tenant. Once this is ready, you can say like, the setup is now complete, and the verified employee VC is now available. If I wanted to edit the style of this, I can go over here. I can go and change like the logo that is appearing over here for this particular verifiable credential, which is the verified employee verifiable credential. I can change the text color. I can change the background color of this as well, right? So I can change some of these like the features of this verifiable credential that has been automatically created for me as part of the onboarding of the service. The other thing that I wanted to quickly show you is how you go about issuing this credential. So by default, like we actually allow all users in the tenant to be able to get this verifiable credential. But if you wanted to, you can actually go ahead and say, you know what, I only want to allow a list of users from selected groups to be able to get this verifiable credential for now. A lot of people are asking us information regarding, okay, can I actually restrict it so that only certain people can go and trial it while we are in this pilot phase, and then other people can do it afterwards? Yes, you can do that. You can also restrict the issuance of the verifiable credential as well. So say, for example, if I wanted to make sure that people only get the issuance of this verifiable credential from a portal that I manage myself, you can do that as well. So over here, you can say, you know what, I don't want to issue the verifiable credential through myaccount.microsoft.com. I want people to be able to go to my portal and then do it. You can do that as well. You can uncheck it over here, and then this will basically not be available on the My Account page. Once this is done, as you can see somewhere over here, it does say, please make sure that wait for 5 minutes, because it takes about 5 minutes for this to take effect on the My Account page. And that's the reason why we say 5 minutes to wow, because it does take 5 minutes for it to actually appear on the My Account page. But what I wanted to do is pass this on to Yusuke to actually quickly demonstrate to us how the issuance work, right? So Yusuke, I'll pass it on to you now. If you can take control of the screen, and let's see how issuance will work.
Sure. Let me know once you see my screen.
Yes, we can see it now.
Right, I'm now sharing my screen of my account of the end users and the authenticator application on my phone. Yeah, please don't worry about the scary the screen the screen on the photograph on my phone. It's my baby. Yeah, let's start from there. So yeah, what should I do here from here? Jay, could you instruct me how
Yep,
to?
yeah. Thank you, Yusuke. So guys, what you are seeing at the moment is the myaccount.microsoft.com page that Yusuke is on, and he's also sharing the phone screen as well. What you get when you go to the My Account page, on the overview page, you get this little link that says Get My Verified ID, right? And your users can actually go and click on that Get My Verified ID. It will actually then show up a QR code. Once the QR code is there, your users can use the Microsoft Authenticator app to go and get that VC in that particular wallet. So as you can see, like Yusuke has just opened up his Authenticator app on his device, and we are just waiting for the QR code to actually generate. Once that is ready, Yusuke will then be able to scan the QR code. and he can then add that into the wallet as well. So that's how simple it is. You can quite easily set this up in your environment. Your users can go to the My Account portal and then get that VC in the wallet as well. And as you can see, because Yusuke's account actually had a profile picture, the VC has been issued with the photo as well. And this photo will become very important to us in the next couple of slides. So as we go along with the next part of this particular session, you'll see why it is important for you to have your users with profile photos on their accounts. Yusuke, did you want to add anything before we jump on to the next part?
No, you covered everything. Thank you.
Cool, thank you. So let me just take over the screen sharing. Cool, so let's move on to the next part. And the next part is face check. So face check is a privacy respecting facial matching feature that we have introduced with Microsoft Entra verified ID. Think about this particular scenario, and I think this is one of the reasons why face check is very important. So we have talked about this credential that can be used like on the web electronically as well. And these verifiable credentials are in my wallet on my mobile device. But what if somebody was to be able to grab my mobile device and then somehow know my PIN as well, and then enter the device and use my credential? Right? How do we take it to the next level of assurance? How do we make sure that people cannot just use a VC that is there in a wallet just by itself? Like, how do we associate that VC with the person that that VC was issued to? And that's where face check comes in. So face check is a new addition, as I said, to the Entra verified ID service. It's currently in public preview, and it's essentially it's a facial matching service that we provide. It allows enterprises like yourselves to perform high assurance verifications securely, simply, and at scale. Face check adds a critical layer of trust by performing facial matching between a user's real-time selfie and a photo that is part of that verifiable credential. So as you saw before, when Yusuke was showing that verifiable credential that he got issued from his organization, in that verifiable credential, there was a photo as well. What face check does is face check actually does a real-time selfie of a person, takes that selfie, uses that to match against the photo that is there on the verifiable credential from before. And if there's a match, it then sends what we call a confidence score to the calling application. It does not actually share the real-time selfie that it's taking. It's very privacy respecting in that particular sense. It only uses that to do that match. And once the match is done, we actually then send what we call a confidence score in a percentage back to the application. And the application can then make a decision regarding, okay, whether I want to go ahead and do something about it, or whether I allow the user access or not allow the user access to that particular resource at all. The facial matching is powered by Azure AI services. By sharing only the match results and not any sensitive identity data, face check protects user privacy while allowing organizations to be sure the person claiming an identity is really them. So, if somebody was to grab my phone, somehow know my PIN as well, they would not be able to use my verifiable credential in high value, high assurance transactions. In those cases, like the system or the verifier would more than likely want me to do a face check. And no matter how hard an imposter tries, they will not be able to actually pass that particular check. The reason behind that is this. The Azure AI Vision API offers services for face detection, face recognition, face match, and liveness check as well. So it's it does a variety of different things to make sure that it is Jay who's presenting that verifiable credential. Microsoft Entra Verified ID uses face detection, face match, and face liveness check services when performing the face check that we are talking about at the moment. The Azure AI Vision API liveness check verifies that it's a real person in a live footage from the camera on the device. It can detect a variety of spoofing techniques, and this helps to ensure that a static photo or even a 2D video of a user can't be used in place of their live self. So, it basically makes sure that it is the person that is supposed to be presenting that VC, who's presenting that VC before allowing access to services. Now, after this, I wanted to jump into some of the key scenarios where you can use Entra Verified ID and face check as well. So let's have a look at some of the key scenarios. The first one that we want to talk about is account onboarding. Entra Verified ID provides a trustworthy self-service enrollment and faster onboarding by digitally validating information with industry-leading identity verification providers. It enables faster time to hire, faster time to productivity, reduces tedious proofing processes in work and life, and then it also enables credential portability for gig workers, for transfers, and for new hires as well. So, in a very brief way, it actually makes the whole hiring of somebody much more faster than what it usually is. And especially in this day and age, when people are working remotely. In many cases, companies hire people in a remote location, and they have to do all of these things electronically. In these kind of scenarios, by leveraging identity verifiers that actually use verifiable credentials, you can quite easily verify somebody and then onboard them into your environment without too much effort, without too much time lost doing that verification process. The second part that we want to be able to look at is access to high value applications. Now, Entra Verified ID enables employees, partners, and contractors to quickly verify credentials for access to sensitive resources that have advanced security requirements. And this comes into play within organizations, and especially when people are actually partnering with other organizations, right? So within an organization, say for example, if I was to ask for access to an application, right, and the requirement for having access to that application was I needed to be able to successfully complete some certification, right? If I was to be able to complete that certification, get a verifiable credential to prove that I have successfully completed that certification, I could then use that verifiable credential in addition to my verified employee verifiable credential to get access to that application that requires me to be an employee of the organization, and at the same time have completed that particular certification as well. So I can use a combination of verifiable credentials to then get access to a high value application within my organization. In addition to that, if I was a partner organization that is working with some other third party company to provide support or do whatever, how do I successfully verify that I am an employee from that particular organization? So, say, for example, let's take Contoso and Fabricam as examples. Contoso has hired Fabricam as one of their partners to do implementation for something within their Azure platform. Somebody from Fabricam is supposed to be working with Contoso. I could quite easily say, you know what, I'm Jay Maharaj from Fabricam, and please give me access to this particular service so that I can help you with your Azure implementation. How can Contoso go ahead and verify that it is actually Jay Maharaj from the Fabricam partner organization requesting that access? This is where the verified employee verifiable credential can come into play. Contoso can actually say, you know what, for anybody from Fabricam to have access to this particular application within my environment, I want those people to actually do a verifiable, to actually present a verifiable credential from Fabricam that has the face check as well, right? And then only they can get access to my applications, my Azure environment to be able to do that Azure implementation that they are supposed to be working with, right? So you can actually use that in those kind of scenarios as well. And lastly, account recovery. How do we go about, like, supporting users, especially in our IT help desk environment scenario with account recovery? And we'll talk more about that in a bit. Um, we can also provide integration with other systems and platforms as well. Because it's based on open standards, it is quite extensible as well. And there comes the freedom for developers to actually innovate. Developers can actually go and innovate on this platform and do whatever they need to do to be able to get to a solution where things can work quite well with verifiable credentials as well. There are other more granular scenarios where you can actually use Entra verified ID, and this can become really handy as well. So as you can see on this particular slide, you can use Entra verified ID while hiring people for identity verification, for workplace credentials, the verified employee credential that we were talking about, for benefits onboarding, for access to different applications. While people are at work, you can actually use it for annual benefits. You can use it for employee discounts. And employee discounts is a good example. Like, say, for example, your organization has got a deal with some other company that provides discounted gym membership for your employees, right? What you can do is you can work with that company so that instead of the user going and doing an email back and forth or something like that to verify that they are working for your organization, that organization or the gym can actually accept a VC that has been issued by you to your employees as the verified employee VC to then access those discounts. And this might be an easy way for you to get people on board, to get people start using verifiable credentials in their day-to-day lives as well. Business to contractor examples is something that we talked about just then. IT help desk scenario is there as well, and we'll talk about that in more detail as we go along. And then lastly, if the person has left your organization, right, how can you actually use verifiable credentials in those kind of scenarios? Like in many cases, I go and I put my information on LinkedIn and I say, you know what, I have worked for this particular company in the past. Like how does somebody verify that Jay actually did work for Fabricam 20 years ago, right? What you can do is you can issue verifiable credentials to your employees who are leaving your organization as well as a ex-employee VC or something like that. That actually proves that the employee actually worked for your organization and is an ex-employee now. So these are a variety of different scenarios where you can actually use this within your organization. And as part of the survey that we are asking you guys to actually fill, we are asking you to tell us what scenarios would be important for you guys so that when we plan the next session for Entra Verified ID, we can actually focus on those scenarios for you so that we can actually take you through those scenarios, show you how you can actually go ahead and set it up in your organization for your users and start using that within your environment as well. So please, when you do provide the feedback through the survey forms, we have got questions over there which will actually help us understand that in more detail as well. Next, we will walk through the scenario for the IT help desk, the main item that we started today's conversation with, and demonstrate how Microsoft Entra Verified ID can become a valuable tool in doing proper verification before support staff provide assistance for your users. So remember when we started this conversation, about 40 minutes ago, we talked about me calling or somebody calling or John calling our service desk and saying, you know what, I want my password reset and this is my employee ID and this is my full name, right? How do we verify that it is actually John who's asking for that support? How do we verify that it is not a bad actor impersonating John and actually asking for John's account to be reset? This can now quite easily be done with Entra Verified ID, right? What you can do is you can actually challenge your users to go and provide a verification before they can actually get support from your organization. And this can be done in a variety of different ways, and we'll go through that in more detail. But what I wanted to do is quickly show you this, right? This is how the verification will look like. More than likely, your user will be directed to your portal in your case, and the user will have to then go through like the verification process. They'll have to present the verified employee VC that you have issued to your users as part of like being an employee at your organization. Because that VC has a photo of that user already, you can also ask them to do face check. And once the user completes that face check, the help desk environment will be notified about that. And then once the help desk environment is notified about that, the user can then access the services, and you can actually, or the user can then get the assistance that they require from the support team as well. If you wanted to, you could take it one level further as well. You could actually say, you know what, because you have done a proper verification, you have actually proved that you are Jay Maharaj or you are John and you are actually an employee for this organization. Now, go ahead and reset your password yourself. I don't want you to want to do this transaction for you anymore, right? In many cases, that might be the thing. In some cases, it might not be the thing. Like, you might want to have that interaction with a person at help desk to be able to provide that support for you. So depending on your use case, this actually fits in both of those use case scenarios where you want to automatically help that user get to that resolution, or you want to verify that user and then get somebody from your service desk team to actually then provide the support that they are requiring. In essence, this is how it usually looks like. The user can go to the IT support portal, click on Get Support, verify themselves, do a face check, and then once the user does the face check, the service desk team can actually then provide the assistance that the user actually requires. Now, with that, I will pass it back to Yusuke to do a quick demo of this particular scenario with face check for us. So Yusuke, you are up now.
Yes. Right.
Yep, I can see your screen now.
Yep. Right. Yeah. So I'm all set. Could you instruct how to go through the demo?
So think about it this way, guys. Like Yusuke is like calling help desk, and I'm the help desk person. I'm asking Yusuke to go and actually provide me do a verification for me. I send him to the Woodgrove help desk portal, and what I'm asking Yusuke to do is actually present his employee verifiable credential and do a face check before I will actually provide the help that he needs. So Yusuke, can I please get you to go and do this for me? Can you please go and verify yourself?
Sure. I just press the button. I already have my card, and then now I see the QR code. I am going to scan this with the Authenticator app. And
as
now
you can
I
see,
am asked, yeah.
Yeah, so as you can see, like Yusuke is now being asked to actually not only select a verified employee VC, but the system is asking him to actually do a face check as well.
Let me press the face check button.
Yep. The system does tell you, like, that we are not actually using any of the data anywhere else. It's only done for that face check that is supposed to happen at that point in time. The system takes a couple of different photos, does a liveness check, makes sure it's Yusuke that is actually on that, in that particular selfie. It does a match between the selfie that Yusuke has taken and the photo that Yusuke has on the VC as well. Based on that, Yusuke can now go ahead and share that information. Once the information is shared,
I got something.
Yeah, something has gone wrong. But that's okay. So what happens after that? I just wanted to quickly so Yusuke, you can keep on trying this while I talk through it.
Sure.
Yeah. You can try it again and let's see if it works. If not, then we'll continue.
Yep.
While Yusuke is doing that, what happens is it actually sends what we call a confidence match. So a confidence match is actually sent by this application to a webhook, right? So in this case, what we have done is we have actually linked it up to a webhook within Teams. And what happens is when Yusuke goes ahead and does the check, at that point in time, that information regarding the confidence score that he's getting can be shared with the service desk, and then service desk can go ahead and provide the help that the user needs.
Right.
Right,
went well.
there you go.
Oh.
So what's the percentage? Sorry, Yusuke, I can't really see it properly from my screen over here.
92.3.
92.3%. That's
Yeah.
a great score. So based on that, the help desk can actually go ahead and provide the help that Yusuke needs. Now, if I can take over the sharing of the screen, what I wanted to quickly show you is how it looks from from a help desk person's perspective as well. So if I was a help desk person, right, I will receive something similar to this. Let me just bring up the screen. So the help desk person receives an alert through the webhook that basically says somebody has done a face check, right? So over here, like if I go to verifications, so the one that Yusuke has done is done in a separate tenant, but this is from my tenant over here. Like this is something that I did yesterday through the webhook. I get this information that Jay was the one that actually did the presentation, and this was the confidence score. In Yusuke's case, that actually goes to a different tenant, and I can't actually show you over here. But you get the idea of how the help desk will be notified about what is going on in terms of that verification process that we asked. There's a couple of things that I wanted to quickly mention before we go on. First thing, like in many cases, what will happen is you'll have those exception cases, those edge cases where somebody can't actually do this, right? And we understand that. We understand that you'll have those kinds of cases within your organization. What we ask you to do is, please don't let those exceptions come in the way of you reaching this extra level of assurance within your environment. In terms of the saying, the saying that goes something like, don't let perfect become the enemy of good, right? What we don't want is just because like 2 people out of the thousands that you employ can't actually do this, you don't implement this within your environment. What we are asking you to do is go ahead, try this, see how it works in your environment, and see if it actually helps you improve your help desk security posture as well. With that, I just wanted to quickly talk about a couple of things. So we have got Jumpstart partners that you can leverage. So we have got identity verification partners and adoption partners as well. Identity verification partners can actually do the identity verification for you, give you a VC for your new employee, and you can actually use that to onboard that user within your environment. And if you want to actually adopt this technology within your environment but don't have the expertise or the resources to do so, we have got partners who can actually help with that as well. There's some good customer stories, so we'll actually share this deck with you. Please go through the customer stories as well. This is important. This is very important for you to understand. If you are already using our Entra identity service, like if you are using P1, P2, E3, E5, any of the services, you can go ahead and try this in your environment now. If you are not using our Entra Entra identity services at the moment, you can still go and try this in a test environment for 50,000 credentials, right? For P1 and P2 customers, for E3 and E5 customers, you get more than 50,000 credential verifications without any extra cost. So there's no cost for that. The only time the cost comes into play is when you are using face check. As I said before, face check is currently in public preview, so you're not getting charged for this. So you can go and try face check as many times as you want. You don't get charged for this. Once we start charging, face check will be charged at 25 cents per transaction. Now, we don't recommend you to use face check with every single verification. We are only recommending you to use this with high value transactions. The other thing that you have to be mindful is if you're using Entra Verified ID with access packages, which is our identity governance capability, you have to have the identity governance licenses for that to happen properly. So this is where the licenses are required when you are doing face check. Once face check becomes GA, you'll be charged for that. Currently, go and try it, no charges. If you want to use verified ID with access packages, please be mindful that you need the identity governance licenses for this. The go-dos, as I said, don't let perfect become the enemy of good. Please go and set this up in your environment. Issue a verifiable credential. Test it with a pilot set of users. Try the samples, like the samples that myself and Yusuke have been showing you today are available on GitHub. You can actually quite easily go and trial these samples within your environment as well. Adapt the solution. So adapt the scenarios that we have within the GitHub samples for your environment, and look at other scenarios for Entra verified ID within your organization as well. What I want you guys to do, and we'll share these resources with you as well. What I want to ask you guys to do is, when you fill the survey forms, please make sure that you actually let us know of what scenarios you are interested in. And what we'll do is we'll actually make sure that any further sessions that we do for Entra verified ID based on the success of this session, we'll actually then incorporate those scenarios, and we'll cover those scenarios in those sessions. With that, Yusuke, was there any question, anything important that you wanted to discuss as part of this session?
I think I have already answered to all of the question with some of the details. One last question. This is a logistic related question. Will there be slide deck available for us to download, or the recording available for the audience?
Definitely. So both the recording and the slide deck will become available to you. Like, we'll send an email with the details in it. The recording will go on YouTube as well. Maybe in a week's time or something, like, it goes on YouTube as well. So you get to have access to both of them.
Yep. And there were a lot of the great question on the chat window. So yeah, it was really helpful for us to form our future vision. So thank you for the question.
Brilliant. Thanks a lot, everyone. Yeah, sorry, Yusuke, was there anything else that you wanted to add?
No.
All good?
It's close. Yep, all good.
Cool, thanks. So with that, I'd like to thank you all for participating in today's session. Yusuke, thanks a lot for the demos. It was great. Thanks a lot for handling those questions on Q&A as well. And what we'll do is, based on the feedback from you guys, we'll then determine whether we go ahead and do another session on particular scenarios on Entra verified ID. With that, thanks a lot for your time. Thanks a lot for participating in this session, and have a nice day.